right, welcome back to another episode of the Carter Cast. I'm your host, Carter Bond. On today's show, it's Connor and I. We're doing an NBA pod, and the parlay didn't hit again in the NFL. We finished the year 47 units, not even including the Mormon Moneyline parlay. The college football bets, some of us did well, some of us didn't, or whatever. But Connor lost. So coming next Wednesday night, whenever it comes out, Connor will be hosting the football pod this week.
Yeah, it's going to be the first ever Connor Cast brought to you by Carter Cast. I've already got some tricks up my sleeve. I've been in the lab. I've been prepping. It's going to be a fun show. It's going to be a good show. We're going to do a couple different things. I'm just going to try my hand at it, the whole host thing. So we don't need to talk about why. We can just put the bowl bet competition behind us. But yeah, I'm ready to get rocking with that.
I mean, hopefully, if you're listening to this right now, I got a lot of positive feedback from last week's episode with Grant and I in person. The audio sounded way better. Way better. It
did. It sounded great.
So we're hoping to fix that for this episode. We're going to try our best to do it. But anyhow, we're talking basketball today. In the NBA, not a lot has changed within a week. I mean, we talked a week ago. We went through everything, long podcast. Not that much has changed. Usually, the Western Conference is kind of a revolving door, kind of a carousel. Nope, Nuggets are still first, Grizzlies second, Pelicans third. Guys are getting hurt right now, though. We have KD out for a month, Zion out for a month, AD, you never know if he's ever coming back.
Right. Supposedly AD's ramping up to come back this week, and with Kevin Durant being out for, they said, around a month with an MCL sprain. He missed longer 6-7 weeks last season with this same injury, so it's encouraging he's only going to miss around a month, supposedly. I'm curious to see how the Nets hold up, if they can really stay afloat, because they're going to have guys like Seth Curry, TJ Warren. Obviously, Kyrie's going to be taking the majority of the shots, but those role guys got to step up. TJ Warren has to average 15 a game, at least, over this next stretch to stay afloat in the conference standings.
Did you watch the Heat-Nets game last night?
I watched the end of it.
What a job by Kyrie at the end. He took over. He's
taking
taken over. And everyone's talking about before, we're just doing a quick recap and then we'll roll into some other segments. But talking about Kyrie real quick, everybody's talking about, Jacques Vaughn's getting the best out of Kyrie. This was, Steve Nash couldn't do this for Kyrie. The thing is, it's Kyrie's contract year. This is why he's motivated. He's not motivated because it's a different coach. It could be Phil Jackson. It could be any coach in the history of the NBA. It's not going to matter. What matters is he's in a contract year. He's getting ready for that 5-year deal. He wants a super mega triple whopper mega max contract.
Yep. And the thing
That's why he's playing hard.
With Kyrie, I mean, that coaching situation, whenever Steve Nash was there the last couple of years with all the turmoil going on and Kyrie, being suspended for the vaccine stuff, no coach could deal with that. That's an impossible situation to deal with a player like that who's really a part-time player who everybody just has a vendetta against just because the vaccination thing, and he wasn't playing, and he made some bad decisions, bad comments. No coach can really be prepared to handle that. So, it could have been Steve Nash, could have been Jacques Vaughn, it could have been anyone, but like you said, contract year, that's the main reason why he's popping off this year.
Yeah, it's literally all comes down to this is his contract year. He's going to dupe some team into giving him a 5-year max, and then he's going to go back to being the same old Kyrie where he's ridiculous. It's the funniest story. I'm going to clip this part, save it for me, and then whenever he signs that 5-year deal, come next December, January, whichever team he's with, and he starts doing all this crazy stuff, sitting out games, pulling all this crap.
Yep.
It's the same story. It's the circle of life with Kyrie Irving.
Weirdly enough, if he signs that new long-term deal, which we think he will, I could see him playing a year and a half, 2 years, and then just randomly calling it quits, retiring, maybe coming back after a year. You just really never know with him.
Everything is on the table with Kyrie. But moving on to the other stuff of the NBA, Luka's still dominating. I mean, the scoring leaders. You would have thought, at some point, the scoring has to drop off. It has to. We're seeing every game's 115 to 125, 120 to 130. Crazy. Everybody's averaging 20-plus a game. There's 50 20-point-per-game scorers. Luka's still averaging 34. Embiid 33.5. Antetokounmpo 32. Shai Gilgeous 30.9. Tatum 30.8. This is crazy. This is crazy. We talk about it every week, and it's still crazy.
Maybe they need to let in some of the hand checking again and start letting that happen and minimize the fouls and free throws and bring it down a little bit. I don't know. I mean, I'm all for offense, but it'd be nice to see some defense every now and then. Even in the playoffs, there's not as much defense as there used to be.
No. But yeah, like nothing's really changed too much. Nuggets still won. Warriors are now in a playoff spot, the 6th seed. The Jazz kind of tapered off. The Jazz are...
Yeah, they did. Although...
These next couple weeks will kind of determine whether the Jazz, are really fighting for that play-in spot or not.
I'll tell you what, though. The Jazz, yeah, they've lost some games. Lauri Markkanen has been on a tear. He scored like 25-plus in the last... He didn't do it last game, but before that, like 10 games in a row or something ridiculous. He's been on fire.
Yeah, he has. And is he an all-star?
I could see him as an injury replacement. I could see him as an injury replacement.
That kind of seems perfect.
It does. It does.
Rockets and Hornets, all-time tankathon. Same with the Pistons. But yeah, nothing's really changed that much in the NBA.
One quick comment. Didn't expect this year. Pacers 23-18. They're holding serve 6th in the conference right now. I think they have a sneaky shot to be a top 8 seed.
So, okay, we'll talk about the Pacers real quick. Is this a fluke thing, or like the Knicks a couple years ago when the Knicks got hot, guys were just playing well with each other? First couple years with Tibbs always works out, and then Tibbs kind of seems to taper off after a couple years. Is this a fluke, or is it real?
This is interesting because I've watched a lot of Pacers basketball this year, and that may or may not be because I've bet on a lot of Tyrese Haliburton props. Besides the point. The Pacers just play so free-flowing. They just go out there, and it's not AAU ball like the Rockets, but it is kind of like, okay, Buddy Hield, you have the neon green light. If Haliburton gives you the ball on the wing, you can chuck up 15 threes if you want to. That's fine. Like, they just go out there, shoot, fast-paced, and Haliburton doesn't put up eye-popping stats every game. He's not Luka averaging 34, 10, and 10.
Pretty close to it, though.
He averages
pretty eye-popping stats.
I mean, 19 and 10? Like, that's not insane. That's not crazy.
He's leading the NBA in assists, though, which is still
insane. That is impressive. But I was going to give him credit as to leading this offense. Like, that's why it's so free-flowing. He's so good at finding open shooters, and they just have the green light. Miles Turner's playing well this year. I don't know if he's looking, if he gets traded or whatever. He's been on the trade block for, it seems, 4 years now. But he's playing well this year. I think they have a sneaky shot to make the actual playoffs, to sneak in as like a 7 or 8 seed from the play-in tournament. I don't think they're frauds.
I think they'll end up being in the play-in. They'll host a play-in game.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, that seems like the most likely scenario.
I don't see like the Bulls. Honestly, I don't see the Knicks passing them. The Heat will be there, though. The Heat will always be lingering around. The Heat might take their spot at the 6th spot.
Hawks are a sneaky team.
Hawks are a sneaky team, but they've got some weird stuff going on. You see all the Trey stuff? Trey's
with the coach.
Leaked that stuff saying like, oh, he's unhappy now. Whatever.
And he's kind of like, people are saying he's bad to play with. Players don't like playing with him. I can kind of see that, honestly.
But you want to do a segment about the NBA trade deadline.
I did. The trade deadline is, I think, officially 1 month from today, which is, it's kind of crept up fast. It feels like the season just started. So the deadline's a month away. I just wanted to go over a few players that we thought would get moved by the deadline that can make an impact on a playoff team. So I can start if you want me to.
Go for it.
All right. First player I got, this is a common one that you've heard floated around rumors, honestly, for the last month or two. The Detroit Pistons, I think they'll be the first team to sell in the market here. And I think Bogdanovich is the perfect seller for a playoff team. His value's never been higher. He's averaging 21 points, 42% from three, almost 6 attempts per game. That's pretty high volume, pretty high sample size. He's kept that up through 40 games of the year. And he's averaging almost 3 assists. That's near career high. He's got sneaky playmaking ability. I don't watch a lot of Pistons basketball. What I have watched, he's got sneaky playmaking ability. Come off the bench for a playoff team, run with the second unit majority of the time. Very underrated piece, very underrated pickup. I think he's worth the first-round pick, at least. So that's the first player I got that'll be on the move.
I mean, it seems right. Like, why do the Pistons don't need him?
No, they don't. He doesn't match the youth movement. I'm just trying to think of where he would go or who has the cap space. I haven't dug too deep into that. But a team like the Bucks, like imagine him on the Bucks, or really imagine him on the Mavericks. He seemed like the perfect fit with Luka.
I'll go with my answer. Every single player on the Charlotte Hornets. We've mentioned this multiple weeks now, but Kelly Oubre, no better time to sell Kelly Oubre. Gordon Hayward, we might have to do our own work in getting rid of Gordon Hayward.
Yeah.
Terry Rozier, he finally had a great game. He destroyed the Bucks. If he can, put it on these next couple weeks before the trade deadline, we could ship Terry off and Kelly Oubre and Mason Plumlee. I think Mason Plumlee is the obvious suspect because clearly Mark Williams is kind of taking his steps, becoming a starter. He wants Nick Richards into the rotation.
Yep.
I think every player on the Charlotte Hornets should be up for grabs besides LaMelo.
And the thing with the Hornets, I completely agree. A lot of those guys, besides Gordon Hayward, their value has never been higher. Kelly Oubre's averaging over 20 a game. He's never done that in his career.
Terry's has tapered off.
Yeah, Terry's has tapered off a little bit, although I think it hasn't tapered off as bad as Hayward's has. Terry still has the ability to put up big games. He's just been a little inconsistent this year. Mason Plumlee, though, there's been long stretches, like multiple games in a row, where he's been the second best player on the team every night. And that's insane to say. He's averaging just around a triple-double, just around a double-double per game. His value's never been higher. He could be a serviceable 15 to 20 minute in the playoff backup center. He could play 20 minutes in the playoffs, and he's not going to hurt you. He doesn't need to be in the starting role like he is for the Hornets and be in at the end of these games, because a lot of times in the fourth quarter, he'll be having a decent game, and then he just misses a few free throws, commits some dumb fouls, just hacks players driving to the rim. He's not a 35-minute-a-game center, but he can play 20 minutes off the bench for some of these good teams. I think he goes for something good. I think Oubre goes for something good, and I think we can get something good for Terry as well.
Yeah, I think Oubre just screams we get 2 second-round picks.
You think 2 second-rounders? It feels like we need a player back too, a young player.
It's not going to be a first-round pick.
But he's averaging 20. I know we've watched Kelly Oubre, and I'm not saying he's worth a surefire first-round pick, but he's a 20-point-per-game scorer. I think they got to get something out of that more than 2 second-rounders.
Either way, you have to get rid of him now because he is not going to re-sign as a Charlotte Hornet, and if he does, you're going to overpay him.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that completely.
Who's your next one?
Yeah, I got another one. I feel like this is a pretty common one that's floated around too, but it just makes the most sense. It's Eric Gordon on the Houston Rockets. Does not match the youth movement in Houston. If you've watched any Houston basketball, I don't advise it. His body language is horrible. Doesn't want to be there. They play AAU, ISO, your turn, my turn ball, but it's not Kevin Durant, Kyrie. It's Kevin Porter Jr., Jalen Green. Doesn't really work out a lot of the time. I feel like he's been super frustrated. He's shooting 36% from three. It's a bit down from last year, but he's not getting as many open looks, and he's been there since the James Harden days. I just feel like that's the one forgotten piece that is stuck around since then. I feel like if you look at the roster, no other player's been there more than 3 years besides him, and he's been there since 2015. So I think it's time for him to move on. He can still contribute to a team in the playoffs. He's still a knockdown shooter, definitely a volume scorer, come off the bench, whatever you need, perfect floor spacer. I think we see him moved. I think this is the year because he's clearly frustrated, and I can't believe he stuck around this long, honestly.
But what would they even get? I mean, they would have to buy him out, right?
I think he's a sneaky good buyout candidate as well. They wouldn't get too much in return, I don't think. But that is a sneaky good buyout. He's old enough, veteran player. Yeah, I like that. Sign for a vet minimum somewhere, mid-level exception.
My next one was Nikola Vucevic, but my issue with Nikola Vucevic is that the Bulls are in this weird spot where they're too far away from the tank. They've won too many games to really get into the tankathon because then they would have to trade Zach LaVine as well. But you're not really going to do any damage. I don't see them making the actual playoffs. I see them losing in the play-in.
Yep.
So you kind of just have to ride it out. It's still and honestly, what are you going to get for Nikola Vucevic? Like, what is genuinely someone going to offer you? He's on an expiring deal, $22 million on his contract. Who is actually going to take on his contract?
Well, that's the thing with the Bulls is it really matters what direction the organization goes in. Because if they decide to blow it up, he'll be the first one to go. But then they have to really blow it up. It's not like they're going to trade Vucevic and then make a run with LaVine and DeRozan. No. If he goes, they all go. So it really depends on the organizational decision here. I think they give it another week or two, but I don't think they wait too long to either, buy or sell in the market. I don't know what they're going to get for him, though. Because he's not putting up numbers like he was in Orlando. Like, he's still a good scorer. But, what does he really add? He's making too much money to just be a bench piece. I don't know, Carter. That's a tough one. I think it makes sense, but I think the logistics are a lot harder to work out than somebody like Eric Gordon or Bogdanovich.
Yeah, it's also who is actually going to take Vucevic? Like, who?
Yeah,
can
what
afford him
what value? Yep.
It's only for a salary dump.
Yeah, and what value does he really bring? I don't think. See, some of these guys I've mentioned, I think will go to good playoff teams. If he gets traded, I feel like he goes to a bad team. Salary dump, expiring contract.
All right, you have one more. I'm out.
I got one more, and that's Kyle Kuzma. This is a weird one. So Kyle Kuzma, player option after this year. He clearly wants out of Washington. He doesn't see himself there long term. I think he personally wants to go back to LA. The Wizards may want to move him now in order to avoid getting shafted and getting nothing. Because if he opts out after this year, then they get nothing. He's only making $13 million, so it wouldn't be that hard with the whole contract situation. He's not making a ton of money. He's a guy that's averaging over 20 a game. Like, he can be maybe not the go-to guy, but a good second, third option. I don't hate him moving before the deadline. People are saying off-season, he'll opt out and sign somewhere. If the Wizards are smart, though, they'll blow it up and send him somewhere else before the deadline. I'm not exactly sure where, but contract-wise, it wouldn't be that hard to match. Just depends on what the league values him as.
I can't argue that. I mean, the Wizards are another team in no man's land where they kind of
Yep.
have to go for it, and they could probably get a decent return in for Kyle Kuzma.
I agree. I completely agree.
Yeah, I wish I had more to add, but like I just agree with it. That's what it is.
That's kind of my one to keep an eye on. Like, it's not a surefire thing, but if that happens, that could be one of the sneaky biggest moves at the deadline. I don't see any like crazy big James Harden moves this year happening, but Kyle Kuzma move will be near the top of the list for sure.
Okay, perfect. That's it for the NBA trade deadline. I think it's going to be a pretty lame NBA trade deadline.
I think it'll be pretty chalk. It'll just be these guys like these bad teams pawning off their talent. So we'll see.
Yeah, like it feels like we'll get an early one. It'll be like, oh, Kelly Oubre goes to the Clippers, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, like things are ramping up, and then it'll just fizzle out, and there will be like one decent deal, but that's probably about it.
We're not going to see a James Harden to Philadelphia trade again this deadline.
No, it's like, and if you listen to any NBA media, read any of their stuff, it doesn't sound like anything's really going to happen.
No, there's no big rumors. The biggest rumor is like Trae Young, but nobody's even suggested he's leaving. They just said there's a little unrest, but there's really nothing.
Levine to LA, there was that.
Yeah, and people are saying Bradley Beal needs to waive his no trade clause. I don't think that happens this year. I think that'd be more of an off-season thing.
Yeah, because Bradley Beal, he's not leaving. They have to force him out.
Yeah, clearly.
All right, let's play a little underrated, overrated, and then we'll hop out of here. Quick pod today. Quick pod. Not much to talk about in the NBA, and we're not going to do college basketball until next week.
Yep.
Good thing we're not doing college basketball this week after Duke, how bad they are.
Whew, Carolina snuck out a few wins too, but yeah, Duke looked rough this week.
Everybody in college basketball looks pretty awful, if we're being fair.
Yeah, it's wishy-washy for sure.
All right, underrated, overrated. Let's do this. Underrated, overrated, Jordan Poole.
Okay. Before this year, I would have said underrated. I think he was a great scorer off the bench for them. He was in the perfect role. Now he signed the big deal. Now he's putting up a lot of shots. Curry's been out, so he's really putting up a lot of shots. Got the ball a lot. The ball is in his hands a lot. I think I'm going a little overrated right now. He's a great shot maker, but he's a little out of control right now. I think he's still got to find himself in like what he does the best. I don't think he's that guy that needs to have the ball 90% of the game. And with Curry out, that's what he's doing. He turns the ball over a lot, which he makes some pretty insane plays and insane shots. I'm not going to bash that at all. But as a playmaker, as a decision maker, he's still young, obviously, but he's a little overrated right now. Like, I see some of his player prop points at like 27.5. That's a little high. Like, come on, he's not that guy yet.
Yeah, in his last 5, I mean, he is averaging 28 in his last 5, but that's just because Curry's out. This season so far, he has been averaging 20 points per game, 2.5 rebounds, 4.4 assists, 42% from the field, 30% from 3.
That's the thing. His shot selection is really, really hot and cold. If you put him on a team like Houston or somewhere, you're not going to add any wins. Like, that's not somebody you can add wins to. He's as good as he is in large part because of the situation he's in. He got put in the perfect situation with the Warriors. He's trying to turn into a mini Steph Curry. Who better to learn from? And clearly it's worked out. But if you put him in a worse situation, I don't think we're talking about him as much.
Is Jordan Poole a glorified Jordan Clarkson?
He might be Jordan Clarkson with just the ultra neon green light. Because, like, Jordan Clarkson has the neon green light. But Jordan Poole just has the whatever, do whatever you want light. That's sneaky. That's a sneaky good comparison.
You feel the same. They're both just heat check guys sometimes, it feels like.
And when they're cold, you get the same feeling where it's like, oh my God, they're going to chuck up another step back 3 and it's going to clink off the left side of the rim and we're going to be down by 10. Like, it's the same feeling.
The game awareness is shocking sometimes.
But then when they're hot, it's like, oh my God, he's going to toss up a 35-footer and I feel like it's going to go in. So
And
you kind of have to take the good and the bad.
If you've watched Warriors games lately, his body language is piss poor.
It is. I don't know. I don't know where the Warriors go with this because, like, I don't think he can be the best player. If you look at him in 3 years, he's not going to be the best player on a playoff team. I don't think I see that.
No.
But with the money he's making, you would think he is.
He's a 2-3. It's going to be very interesting to see this offseason with
Yep.
the new media deal coming in and then the contracts. We're going to see soon a 2016 kind of thing again.
Yeah, with Timofey Mozgov signing $70 million or Ian Mahinmi signing $72 million.
Nick Batum making more than Steph Curry.
Oh my God, you get Chandler Parsons making triple figures.
Yeah, but Jordan Poole, you have to go a little overrated right now. Like, for the money he's making, and you would expect him to do more, but once again, it is hard because you watch Steph Curry every night for the Warriors, and now that he's hurt, you expect Jordan Poole to come in and play that same role and do the same thing. He's not Steph Curry, obviously, but for the money he's making, it is disappointing.
The thing is, I feel like if Curry was healthy all year and Jordan Poole wasn't forced into this role, we wouldn't be saying this. I feel like he would be thriving in like 7-8 less minutes a game, a few less shots a game, doesn't have the ball in his hands as much, you know?
That's why Curry's the most underrated superstar in history. He
I
makes
don't
everybody
disagree.
around him infinitely better.
I don't disagree with that at all.
All right, underrated, overrated, Zach LaVine.
This is a tough one. You want to start this one?
I'm going overrated.
Why?
I'm going overrated. He makes so much money. Does he make your team better? Be honest. Does he quantify to wins? You know who does quantify to wins is Tyrese Halliburton. We've seen when Tyrese Halliburton comes in, the Pacers are a winning basketball team. They are a above 500 basketball team. Zach LaVine can get you to the 9, 8, 9, 10, but he can't take you to that next step, and he's getting paid like he can take a team to the next step.
That's interesting you brought up Halliburton because I was thinking something along those lines. If Halliburton's shot's not falling, that's fine. He can impact the game in distributing the ball, pushing the pace. Doesn't even have to get big assist numbers, although he does. Great defender, but just pushing the pace, getting guys open, drawing the defense to him in the paint. If Zach LaVine's shot's not falling, what is he really contributing? He's not a lockdown defender. He's not a great playmaker. DeRozan's more of a playmaker than Zach LaVine is. If Zach LaVine's shot's not falling, he's not contributing enough to the team for the money he's making. I really don't feel like he is. When you're making that much money, you got to have something else to contribute if your shot's not falling, if you're having an off night offensively. Halliburton's a perfect example. Push the pace, play make for his teammates, play good defense, even if his shot's not falling. LaVine doesn't have that.
And Zach LaVine currently is averaging 40% from three, which is very good for Zach LaVine.
Yeah, that's good shooting splits for sure. But like I said, though, if his shot's not falling, like if you're in a playoff series, can you really trust him to be your main scorer? I don't think you can.
I want to go check here. The Bulls are currently 19-21. And it's not a terrible roster is the thing.
But,
like typically I would say let's say if Zach LaVine's on the Wizards, like yeah, I would understand why you're 19-21, 17-23.
Yeah.
But it's not a bad roster. You do have guys like Vucevic and DeRozan. Yes, those are little guys on the tail end of their primes, obviously. But, I mean, you're only 2 games better than the Washington Wizards. Really put that into perspective.
Let's not forget DeRozan was in the MVP conversation for a while last year, which rightfully so. He's not without blame either here. But I just don't know with Zach LaVine. Like, he's getting paid like he should be that guy. Like, he should be that guy. And the Bulls, the thing is, they have like a 5-1, 6-1 record against the top few teams in the conference. But then they have a terrible record against the bottom few teams in the conference. So I don't know if they blow it up or what. I mean, I think if they blow it up, he's probably going to be gone pretty quickly.
All right. I guess we're going to agree on all of these because my next one's De'Aaron Fox. Underrated, overrated?
Underrated. I don't think he's talked about enough. I'm telling you, the Kings are for real this year. And I'm not going to lie. I'll own up to it. Whenever they made that Halliburton trade, I was like, oh my God, did they really just trade him for Sabonis? I was like, what are they doing? Halliburton's a franchise piece, which he is. Sabonis has been dynamite for them this year. They are, what are they in the standings right now? I just had it up.
Fifth?
Yeah, they're 2018, fifth in the West. I think they're a sneaky team to like stay in the top 6 and make the playoffs and avoid the play-in. Sabonis has been money, and trading Halliburton has really just shown that they're committed to De'Aaron Fox. I think that's been huge for him. He should be an all-star this year. I would not be mad after everything's said and done and the injury replacements and everything. The Kings should really have 2 all-stars. That should really be considered. And that's not something I thought I'd say in the few weeks after that Haliburton trade. But it's really worked out for both teams. Because with the Pacers, it freed up Miles Turner because him and Sabonis down low was never working out. And then De'Aaron Fox and Haliburton had a little, who are we committing to? We drafted Haliburton even though we've already got our franchise in De'Aaron Fox. It really worked out for both sides. I think he's underrated. I don't think he's talked about enough. Some of the shots he's made this year, like in the clutch, he averages like double figures in the fourth. It's unbelievable.
Okay, what's crazy is that lately we've had a few decent, like, equal trades. I think Haliburton Sabonis, you can say the Pacers won it because Haliburton has made them that much better, but like you can't say it's pretty equal because Sabonis has helped them so much in Sacramento. He's averaging 19 and 12.
And with the Kings,
freaking 12.
Haliburton would have never, I don't want to say would never, but not this quickly. He would not have progressed this quickly if he stayed in Sacramento. He wouldn't have had the ball enough. So it really helped unlock his career and Sabonis also. So
another couple equal trades in the past, like you can say this one wasn't equal, but I think it was the AD trade to the Pelicans, or from the Pelicans to the Lakers. Like it's pretty equal. If Victor Wembanyama ends up a Pelican somehow, then it's a little lopsided. But the Lakers ultimately got the title, and the Pelicans are now a legit franchise and are genuinely a contender now because of that trade, and they never were with Anthony Davis. At the end of the day, both teams won that trade.
Completely agree. The Lakers might have mortgaged their future, but like we've said it a million times, for one championship, you do it. If you have to sacrifice 5 years for one title, do it. And the Pelicans, they got exactly what they needed from the AD trade. They didn't get fleeced. They got a bunch of young players who really panned out. I think you're right. I think that really worked out well for both teams because the Lakers got a title and the Pelicans are now in position to compete for like the next 5-6 years if they keep that core together.
All right, let's move on to our last segment and then we'll head out of here. Hate watch time. We're going to just talk about our players we hate watching the most in the NBA.
That's a good one.
I'll start off. D'Angelo Russell might be suspect number 1 for me. I cannot stand watching D'Angelo Russell. That's so frustrating because he has the worst body language on the court. He doesn't care. He plays with no aggressiveness. He's overrated. He's overpaid. He doesn't bring you winning basketball.
Yep.
It's awful to watch. It's painful to watch.
And he thinks he's up here when he was down. He's really down here. And he was so much fun with the Nets on that playoff team that didn't really have anybody that kind of made it run in the playoffs with the bench mob and everything. He was so much fun on that team. Completely different on the Timberwolves. And the Timberwolves just stink in general to watch, let's be honest.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, my first one and the main one, Julius Randle is the one for me. The Knicks are on national TV a lot, so I always find myself watching the Knicks games. This year it's a little better because they have Jalen Brunson who has the ball a lot of the time, and he's pretty exciting to watch. But it really hit an all-time high last year when Julius Randle had the ball for so much of the possessions. He was dominating possessions, dribbling around, posting up, shooting pull-up threes. This year he's actually hitting a decent amount of threes. I still don't really love just the way he plays, like just watching it. I know it's effective, but just to me as like a basketball fan, I'm like, ugh, here we go again. But last year was the worst I've ever seen it. Julius Randle bringing the ball up the court and dribbling around for 20 seconds and forcing up a step-back mid-range, it was torture. It was torture to watch on national TV.
That's a great one. Whenever the Knicks are on, if you're not a Knicks fan, everybody's reaction is meh.
Yeah, it's like, oh my God, really? Yeah.
Like I really gotta watch the Knicks. Like,
yep.
Okay, RJ Barrett is kind of overhyped. Jalen Brunson's he's good, he's fun to watch, but like no one gets you really excited on that Knicks team.
I completely agree. Do you have another one?
Trae Young.
Nah, I think that's a great one.
Yeah, I mean, it's just obvious. I mean, if you like watching Trae Young, then I don't know what's wrong with you. You do not like basketball. It is painful to watch. It is painful.
So
it is just it's just bad basketball. That's what it is. It comes down to just bad basketball.
The foul baiting, yeah. I mean, Trae Young's an interesting player. It just seems like, and the thing is with Trae Young, he can go 3 for 12 from 3 and still get 30 because he makes 15 free throws a game. So like that's kind of frustrating to watch, especially last year. You noticed it a lot too. They kind of, the foul rules changed a little bit this year. They put more of an emphasis. It's still not fun to watch. Like if you rank the players I want to watch, superstar wise, he's near the bottom of the list.
Yep.
I'm trying to think of another one. Do you have another one off the top of your head?
I have one,
Okay.
but it's not a person in particular. I don't like watching Mavs games. I don't like watching the Dallas Mavericks.
I don't blame you at all.
It's literally the Houston Rockets with James Harden all over again. It's not fun to watch. It's not.
Yeah.
But this year, it's just so much fun watching Luka and what all he can do. But after a while, it gets kind of boring. It does.
That's the thing. You can give me one Mavs game every 10, 14 days, and I'm going to be like, wow, Luka's so good. Like, this was a great game to watch. But if I watch 3 games a week for the Mavericks, I'm done. I can't do it.
Well, you're just watching out, spread out, pick and roll, take 20 dribbles, and let him go to work.
And when he goes out of the game, turn the channel because it is miserable. They played the Thunder last night without him. Oh, my God. It was awful. Carter, it was awful. The arena was dead. They have no supporting cast without him. It's actually ridiculous. That's a sneaky good one. Last one I'll say is the team, too. Giannis is a great player. We've talked about this before. I can't stand watching the Bucks. Cannot stand watching the Bucks. It's just boring. Like watching Giannis paint mash around. Like, I get it. It's effective. But I'm not getting excited for Chris Middleton's been hurt this year, but like a Chris Middleton turnaround mid-range. Yay, Brook Lopez is shooting a contested 3 from the wing. You know, like it's not exciting. It's work. They're a good team. Won a championship. It doesn't excite me as a basketball fan as much as some of these other teams.
I'm not going to disagree with you.
You can't. You can't.
Like, I'm enamored. I am enamored when I watch Giannis. I am.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're like, how is this guy 7'1", can play like a point guard, can move, the whole, like, everything. But, like, the reality, like, it's just the same thing, kind of like bully ball. And I kind of feel this way sometimes about LeBron James. Where it's kind of just bully ball, run through. But then you're like, okay, if you don't like bully ball, then how do you like Zion Williamson? But it's different. And I don't know how to explain it, but it's different.
It is. I wouldn't put LeBron up there with Giannis in terms of like watching. I think LeBron's a little more exciting to watch. But yeah, I know exactly what you mean. He sometimes gets in those little stretches where he does do that.
Yeah, Giannis, that's not a bad one.
That might be an unpopular one, but just in terms of watching a basketball game for entertainment value, they can't be near the top. Can't be.
And the Warriors have ruined some other teams for me. Watching the Warriors is so much more fun than 99% of the NBA. There's nothing more fun than watching the Warriors when they're clicking. Nothing.
Yeah,
There's not a single team in the NBA that I've ever watched that is more fun than watching that Warriors team.
I completely agree. Because, like you said, they kind of ruined it a little bit because these other teams will not hit that level, and you're kind of expecting that.
Well, it's because it's so ISO heavy. They don't move the ball. There's no motion. It's ISO, high pick and roll. Let's go to work, stand in the corner, and I'll kick to you.
Yeah, that's why I'm interested to see how the Pelicans look with Brandon Ingram back in the lineup because he's kind of that ball-dominant, ISO-heavy player. So I'm curious to see how that works out.
That's another one. Like if someone said, "Hey, I kind of get bored watching Brandon Ingram. It's a lot of ISO ball, take your turn kind of thing." I'm not gonna say no. I'm not gonna say no.
His game's kind of like DeMar DeRozan's. Pull up mid ranges. Like I don't really necessarily enjoy DeMar DeRozan either. Back somebody down
like
and pull it from the elbow. Like congrats.
DeMar DeRozan in Kevin Durant's body.
Yeah.
My last one is LaMelo. I can't. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I just want to see if I got you going. That's all I had for the hate watch. I have other guys like obviously I hate watching Rudy Gobert, but like that's just obvious.
Yeah, it's kind of irrelevant at this point. Although he's picked up a little bit, but the Wolves just as a team just awful.
Carl Anthony. Yeah, everybody on the Wolves that's not named Anthony Edwards, I don't like watching.
And half the time he's checked out anyways. I watched some of the game last night. He was just checked out the whole fourth quarter. And it was just bad to watch.
That's true. Anything else in the NBA?
No, I'm excited.
Yeah. This is when it dies down, though. This is when this January lull is pretty tough.
Yeah, we'll see the first trade probably in a couple weeks, and that's when maybe it'll heat back up a little bit. But this little lull right here, yeah, it's pretty chalk right now.
Yeah. I'm going to Sixers Jazz on Saturday.
That'd be exciting. Is Embiid playing? Is he back?
Who knows?
He's been out.
I have no idea. I have no idea if Embiid's actually going to play or not. If he is, then take every Embiid prop ever in existence because every center actually has a great game against the Jazz because they can't play defense.
Yeah.
Walker Kessler, and he's not bad, but
that'll be an exciting game. That'll be an exciting game.
Hornets Jazz, the annual Hornets Jazz game coming up soon.
Are you going to be on TV again with the gear on?
I will be there. I will probably end up on TV again, as I will be the only Hornets fan in that arena.
Hey, you got to rep. You got to rep the. You got to rep the city, man.
Apparently, I have to watch this crappy basketball. But all right, yeah, I don't really have anything else in the NBA. We'll do college basketball next week. We'll dive into how bad Duke is and how college basketball. This is the most boring college basketball season I have ever watched.
I'm just so disinterested. Carolina's got a big game against Virginia tomorrow night. I'll be interested to see how that goes. But overall, I've just been very checked out of college basketball this year, even more than usual.
Yeah, it's hard to watch, and it's because there's no one guy in college basketball where you're like, I have to watch this player. Like last year, you could say it was Paulo Banchero, Jabari Smith, Chet Holmgren, one of those guys. This year, there's really not that guy. Like, Armando Bacot, he's good. Yeah, he averages 20. He's going to get us 20 and 12, but you know he's not going to be an NBA player.
Exactly.
You know Drew Timmy's not going to be an NBA player. The Duke recruits have been a massive disappointment. You know who's fun to watch is NC State, actually. I'm not going to lie. Like they destroyed Duke, but NC State's a fun team to watch. Watch out for them to make a serious run in March. I am very I mean, I was high before the season. I told you they might be top 4 in the ACC.
Yeah, you did. I could see them making a run in the ACC tournament especially.
They've got dudes at guards. When you run a 2-guard system for the NC State, I'm rambling. Let's stop it there. Nobody wants to hear about NC State, whether they can make the tournament or not right now. Connor, thank you for coming on.
Of course.
We'll be back Wednesday for, I guess, the Connor cast, as we like to call it.
Oh, yeah.
Football pod. We're just going to be doing the playoff recap, the College Football National Championship, which is just turned on right now as we finish recording. Thank you so much for listening. Check out cartercast.com. Just posted an article today. Go check it out. Article today. We're doing a blog a day again. We're going back to the articles. Go check that out. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, you name it. We're on there at CarterCast, at CarterBA, at Connor_Spare on Twitter. Thank you again for listening, and we'll see y'all next time.